Welcome back. So let's learn how to create nav bars, which are navigation bars, and I'm just going to dive straight into it. I'm going to duplicate this as always, then paste. Then this is tutorial number 9 and it's nav bars. Okay, going to change this to be a nav bar, and as always have a container, and inside the container we are going to have a h1 that says the text is going to be danger. Let me change for this tutorial, and then have a margin of the y-axis of 5, and the heading is Navbar Bootstrap, Navbar in Bootstrap. Then it's always prompt for us to check if it is working in the browser, because yep, it is. Then apart from that, I'm just going to have lorem ipsum text, which I want to be part of the body, because you can't have a navigation system without having some text in the body. And I'm going to paste this one severally so that we're able to have long text, and basically this is how it's going to look like. So we're going to put our navigation to the top, and the way to actually put it, because it's not going to respect anything else, we can just put another container, because we want it contained. Is we have several classes which we can put them in, or we can actually remove the container class and just, because if I put the container class, it's going to be limited to this width here, or for it to be centered. Remember the container classes that we passed in a previous tutorial. So I'm just going to code it out from without the container class, because either way you would want your navigation to occupy the full width of the browser. Okay, so the first thing to do, it's always in a nav element, and you should always apply a class of navbar. And if you want it expanded, because we want it to be a full width from the medium point, we just have to expand it from, because you'll want to probably have a hamburger for the small point. Okay, then we have to choose which background it is to it. So I can choose BG light, and boom. Sorry, mistake I did here is BG light. And once that, if I save it, you can see nothing, because our navbar doesn't have anything. Now inside the navbar we can have a container, because we want to contain everything within this width, like what the navbar h1 is within. Inside the container we can have several things. The link to where, let's say, our home page is, it's always good, because this navbar will show up in everything. And this link, you can put whatever link you want there, but it needs to have a class of navbar brand, because this is you can put an image inside here or whatever you want, but for now navbar brand, sorry. And then here we say home link as an example. Sorry, now it appears there, and you can see some gray background, because I used the light background. Okay, so it's a simple navigation that I'm trying to create. Then after that, after the navbar, you can actually put your item that can disappear and appear, because remember we say DC on the small breaking point all the way to MD, it's the home link is huge. Okay, so hamburger menu, how do you do it? We can use a button, which is button, and of course it's a type of button. The type is button, and we need to put some data toggle attributes. So bootstrap toggle, these are just attributes that you need to add it, and you can use collapse. We are going to pass through all these attributes as well later, but for now, just to have a simple navigation, no, it needs to have that. And you need to have another Bootstrap data attribute of target, and we need to have it of maybe put another ID of what is supposed to give. So let's say Navbar items as an example, and nothing inside the button apart from you can just give a span item to show the icon, the hamburger icon. So that's with a class of Navbar toggler icon. Navbar toggler icon. It's okay to play around with this, and you can see it appears from here as we go up. It's always appearing. Okay, so let's continue working on this and we see how it's going. Below the button, we can actually create our div with the class of Navbar items, the one we actually selected here. So I'm going to copy it and create a div with the class of Navbar items, and a class of collapse. Then also add the class of Navbar collapse. Okay, then I'm going to save it, and then remember we can use an ordered list, that's UL items, with the class of Navbar nav, because this is where the items go. Navbar nav, and probably if you decide to center it, but I'm not going to do that. I'm going to, inside the UL items, I'm going to have several links, and each having a class item. Okay, so each link is going to have a class of nav item, and then inside the link I'm going to have an anchor tag. So then I want to multiply this. Let's say how many links? 3 links. And no, I did a miscalculation there. Then I multiply this by 3. Then inside, yes, because it's the links that I wanted to be 3, not the anchor tags inside. So inside each tag, let's say this is home, this is about, and this one is contact us. If I save this and just let it be on the browser, you can see it looks like this. That is because each link item also needs a href. You can see this is how it appears, and that's how a simple navigation looks like. But if you want to actually go deeper in terms of how these Navbar items look like, then we have to explore more classes. As you always say, research. So at the moment it's not aligning the way we want it to, and this one is not also disappearing. And trying to look at the code here. Yeah, the toggler item needs this button class, also need another class. Sorry, I forgot to do that. It needs a class of nav toggler, navbar, if I'm not wrong, toggler. And if I save that, boom, it has disappeared until when we get to the small. Then when you click on it, it brings out the item, because we said from the medium breakpoint it will toggle only below the medium breakpoint. As you can see, we go back to the big icon, and then also I don't like how this is looking, and we need to also add certain classes, and these are going to go to the nav items themselves. The links, each is going to have nav link. If I save that, see, all of them look like this. Now if you want to align it to the right, we can just do MS Auto. So margin start auto. If we do that, it's going to align. As we keep adding, it keeps filling this space, because that's why I aligned it to the right. Okay? So let me show you. If you go back to our code and I add, and let's say portfolio, right? Portfolio. You see, it keeps growing towards the left because I aligned it to the right. So, and then if I want to mark one of them as being active at the moment, I can just add a class of active, as always. Same to buttons, you can see. So that's a basic navbar that we've put. If we want to put a color variant, let's say in our navbar, it's as simple as just using adding a class to the navbar item itself. So I'm going to copy this one that we've created, this nav, and add another one, and probably put here, instead of background being light, I can, okay, we can just leave that, but we can give a context color of, let's say, navbar dark, and it's going to give us a dark. But let's say if I'm going to do BG, see, it disappears. If I do background success as an example, it's a green one, and you've given it a context like that. So some people give it dark context, others give it light context, but it's not a must for it to be there. Let me actually remove it. You see, it makes the text become black. But if I want to actually give it context so that it checks what background it is, I can just navbar dark, and it actually places the text to be white. The reason why we were not seeing previously is because it was BG light here, and the text is also light in color. If I do danger, you'll see the text is there. You see, it's there. So you can give it any background that you want, but also give it a little bit of context using the navbar dark attribute. If you want your navbar to be fixed either to the top, okay, you sometimes, to me, very few times you'll have it fixed to the bottom, but you can also just add an attribute of fixed. Remember, we passed through positioning in our tutorials. Now let's just copy this again and make it fixed. Because we want alternating colors, I'm going to copy this. What is happening there, and just add an attribute of fixed top, because we want it fixed to the top. Let's see what is happening, because it's BG light. Okay, let's do success, and then navbar dark, and see if it appears. Oh yes, we have one at the top, as you can see. It's taken the place of this. Maybe it's a hitch. Let me actually restart the server and see. Then restart. Yeah, it's just replaced whatever was at the top. Let me actually take this to inspect. But that's how you fix it to the top. And the reason why it's appearing like that is just because it's on top of what we had placed initially. It's not like it has completely erased it. It's just that since it's fixed at the top, it's fixed there, like it's on top in terms of layering. So it just covers the initial navbar that we had placed there. And this is not to show you that I can fix it to the bottom. So instead of fixed top, we can do fixed bottom, and you see that one is still there. I've not deleted anything, and it's still at the top, and this one is fixed at the bottom. So that's how you can fix it. And then you can also include on this bottom navbar, let's fix it to the bottom so that we don't lose the one at the top. We can use form element in it, and to do that, it's the same thing. I'm just going to change a little bit on the elements inside. So let's say I want to do away with about, and I want to have a search item here. Okay, so after the nav brand, we can also decide to just do away with most of the items here after the nav brand. So I'm going to do away with this collapse item because it's just a lot. So if this is not going to the main browser or the big one, we are going to put in a form element with a class of flex, and that's the way you put in a class dflex. And remember, the action not really needed in this. I just wanted to show you. Sometimes it can be a post action and etc. We'll pass that through the PHP or the JavaScript tutorial series, but for this one you don't really need the action. So once you put the flex, it doesn't really change much. You'll not see anything until we put in the items itself, the input items. Remember, for accessible reach application, that's area, we need to put what's the role of this form, and the form, you can put anything. Here we are going to use search. Then it's just an input item, a text input item with a class of form control. We are going to pass through these classes, but form control literally just makes it occupy the whole size of the element that you're giving it. Like this is the form. Then if you want to push it from the end, which I don't, you can put in a margin. Though once that's done, you can actually, just to beautify it, you can have a button next to it with a class of btn and btn danger, just to beautify it. And we'll say search website, you see. But I'm going to use btn-sm just to make it smaller. See, it's just lessen the size, but this is, it's just taking the size relative to what the home item is making. But this is how you can use input items, form input items in the navbar. That said, let's go to the next tutorial where we are going to learn about the grid and the columns. See you then. Bye bye.